Services, the tax planning team that helps business owners earn more and keep more.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Hey, it's great weather. It's baseball season. Weekend looks good, too. So you're going to be spending a lot of time on the back porch and back patio enjoying Rebs and Dogs baseball, among other things. Don't forget about Boar's Head when you're rolling out that game day platter. Charcuterie board. Boar's Head, compromise elsewhere. Your go-to for premium meats, cheeses, and hummus. Boar's Head. Compromise elsewhere. Live in the Bank Plus studio, the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Our guests join us on the Coors Light guest line, Coors Light made to chill. We want to welcome in Brad Henderson, the Ole Miss baseball color analyst, and Brad joins us on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Brad, good morning. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
Well, we're doing well. This weather's great, and we're knocking out baseball games left and right, so that's a good thing. Ole Miss is back on a winning streak. Maybe a slight hiccup here with Doug Nikhazy. May have stretched or something, a pec muscle. What is the latest? What have you heard on Nikhazy, Brad?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Bo. It's something in his chest, a muscle there that he's had some tightness with over the past week or two, and obviously the public, wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware of it until last night, and I know he was going to meet with some team doctors today and try and get it diagnosed and worked on, and then obviously not going to throw this weekend, which is probably the right decision considering it's the last weekend before we open up with Auburn next weekend.
Yeah. So what will the rotation look like without Nikhazy in it this weekend, Brad?
I think they'll go Gunnar Hoagland on Friday now, and Gunnar's been our Saturday guy all year. And then they're gonna Drew McDaniel, who's been pitching some midweek starts, is going to go on Saturday, and they're going to leave Derek Diamond on Sunday.
Okay. All right. So Brad Henderson joins us on the Out of Bounds show. Ole Miss won again last night, swept over the weekend, won their 2 midweek games last week. So they're on a roll as they head into the last out-of-conference, non-conference deal this weekend. Who's Ole Miss playing? La Monroe?
Yeah, they've got Monroe this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
And then we go on the road Tuesday and Wednesday to Ruston and play Louisiana Tech before we come back here next Friday, Saturday, Sunday with Auburn. So it'll be a good little 5-game stretch before conference play.
Wow. All right. Are you going to call all those games, or how does that work?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll be there. I'll be there. So
all right.
Me and Kellen we'll be road tripping next Tuesday, but it should be a good trip. We have a night game on Tuesday and then 2:00 game next Wednesday. So hopefully, the team can get back and get a practice in Thursday before opening weekend with Auburn.
Sure. Okay. So, all right. So you want Nikhazy Friday against Auburn. And so
Sure.
that'll be the whole focus the next, whatever it is, 9 days. Tell me about Derek Diamond. I mean, we know how talented he is, and but you see more than we do. So
Sure.
give me his strengths. Tell me about Derek Diamond, because he's still young as far as his career at Ole Miss.
Yeah, he is. He's just a sophomore, and you got to remember he only had 3 starts, last year before COVID hit, and he's just a guy, though, that since he's been on campus, he's been really, really good. He kind of earned that Sunday role last year, pitched really well in the fall, pitched really well in spring inter-squads, and truly earned that spot. He's a quiet kid, but he was the number 1 pitcher coming out of the state of California in 2019 and the number 2 overall player in the state of California. But I think the thing that impresses me most with him, obviously at this level, all these guys, the velocity's there and the breaking ball's good, but he's got really, really good command, and he's just really composed to be a 19-year-old kid in that type of atmosphere. He doesn't get too high, get too low. and I think he's a perfect fit for Ole Miss in that 3 slot.
Okay. Walk me through. Hoagland is obviously super talented, and who knows what the upside is there. But, tell me a little bit more about him, because I feel like losing most of last season, people are still trying to figure out these guys.
Yeah, the thing with Gunner, and he and Derek Diamond are eerily similar, just big, physical right-handers, and Gunner's a true 4-pitch guy. He's going to be that. He's going to sit 93, 94. And the knock on Gunner was when he first got here, there was a lot of hype coming out of high school, obviously a first-rounder, and that he turned down to come to Ole Miss. And, he was slotted as that Sunday guy as a freshman. And, kind of the knock on him that year is he could get through the lineup once, maybe twice, but, he couldn't get you to that 5th, 6th, 7th inning to get you to the pen. He kind of got beat up on, the second or third time guys saw him through the lineup. So they worked on last year. They actually he started throwing a curveball. So, and he kind of added that to his repertoire, I guess you'd say. And that 4th pitch has really made a difference. And again, his control, and he's going to be a high draft pick again this year, and he rightfully has earned that. And but again, he's just another quiet kid that kind of goes about his business. Everybody knows of Nikhazy because he's kind of your bulldog.
Sure.
He's kind of your tough leader, and that's why we run him out there on Fridays. But Gunner's just uber talented, and he just minimizes damage. If he gets in any trouble, he just seems to work his way out of it and competes.
Brad Henderson joins us on the Coors Light guest line. Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone, talking Ole Miss baseball. Let's assume Nikhazy's healthy in 7 days. With Nikhazy, Hoagland, and Diamond, is that the most talented weekend rotation that Mike has had?
I think it's been coached, but yeah, I think it certainly is.
Yeah.
Just simply because how many people can say they return all 3 weekend guys from the year before? That's so rare in this league because guys are getting drafted so soon and leaving, and you're just having to replace them. And up until this point, it certainly has to be because. And me and David Kellum talk about it all the time with Coach B. We really have 3 aces. And you could run any one of those guys out there on a Friday night and expect the same results. So, yeah, this has got to be, in my opinion, his most loaded weekend staff because you don't fall off on a Sunday, you know, and that makes a huge difference, especially in like a rubber match, and the SEC is so tough, and you run another ace out there on Sunday, it gives you a real shot.
Brad Henderson on the Out of Bounds show. What does Drew McDaniel bring to the table this weekend for Ole Miss?
Well, the thing with Drew is he's a strike thrower. He's got good stuff. He's a low to mid-90s guy, but his pitchability is really good. He can pitch backwards when he needs to. He's 2-0 this year. He started 2 games, got a 1.93 ERA. And I understand he's some of that's been some midweek, but every time he's gone out there, he's performed. He's thrown 9 innings, given up 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 13 strikeouts. So that's what he gives you. He's a strike thrower. He lets his defense work behind him, and so I think he'll fall right in there. Let's say Doug can't come back. I think Drew's a guy we'll stick with. Because he's performed up to this point, and the stuff's really good.
Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone. We're talking Ole Miss baseball with Brad Henderson, and they get ready for their last non-conference weekend, and then they play Auburn next week. But they do have some games next week too, midweek. So Tim Elko, you dropped him early in our interview last week, and then all of a sudden he's the National Player of the Week. 588. 10 hits, 13 ribbies, 5 home runs, scored 8 runs. I think he sold popcorn and Dr. Pepper in the stadium over the weekend too. I mean, what is next for this young man, Brad?
I don't know. I mean, what he's done in the last 6 games is just phenomenal. I think we read last night he's been on base 21 out of the last 29 at bats. He's got like 17 RBIs in the last 6 games. It's video game type numbers, and now you see the power starting to surge a little bit. He's up to 5 home runs all in 1 week. Do those numbers continue? Probably not. But you didn't need your captain hitting $122 either, and now he's up to 333. And he's a true leader. And Mike said it in the pregame yesterday. He's a servant leader, and the guy's just a character guy on the field, off the field. But even when it wasn't going so good for him, he's the first one there, the last one to leave, and it's just good to see him going because when he got here, there were so many high expectations. He was a big time recruit, and he's just he's 6'4", 220, can run like a deer, and he never put it together. And so last year it started to click with him, and offensively when you can get a couple hits and things start to roll, then it starts to really snowball, and he's certainly he's just on fire right now.
Good grief! Wow. All right, Brad Henderson on the Out of Bounds show. When you were playing at Ole Miss, and by the way, for our listeners, Brad, 2-time All-SEC, honorable mention All-American, great player for the Ole Miss Rebels. Who was the most talented player you played with while you were at Ole Miss? At Ole Miss, not faced, on the roster, on the team.
Most talented?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna get a lot of texts and phone calls.
Yes, y'all make sure to blow up Brad's phone after he answers this question.
Oh, well, I'll tell you, there's a couple people that come to mind, and they probably get lost in the shuffle. But my junior year, I played with a shortstop named Jason Heisman, and Jason was from Chicago, Illinois, and I believe Jason still has at one point he had the most home runs in a season. He hit 20 or 21 home runs, and even back then at Ole Miss had a big park back then. You got to remember that since Coach B's got there, he's moved the fences in about 10 feet from right center to left center. So we played in a little bit bigger park, but we also played during the Gorilla Ball era as well. But Jason Heisman could really, really hit. And I don't know that anybody's hit 21 home runs since Jason Heisman. But I will say that we had another guy, as far as talent goes, tools-wise, Michael Roseman has to be up there.
Yeah.
The kid from Madison Central. He was, I think, a sandwich pick out of Ole Miss as a junior. But, I mean, the guy was, 6'4", 6'5", to just absolutely run like a deer, and he could throw it from Oxford to Starkville. And, just unbelievable tool, just God-given ability. He's just one of those guys that was just fun to watch. And, you just – I wish I'd have been born with the tools he had.
Sure.
It was just phenomenal. But, that whole Gorilla Ball era was a fun era.
That was wild when I was in college in the 90s. Holy smokes.
Yeah, and we talked about the other day, we were actually talking about Jason Heisman, and he hit 21 homers that year. But Brandon Larson at LSU hit 40, and Lance Burtman at Rice hit 42. So it kind of puts it in perspective. The live bat era, but it made for some exciting baseball for sure, because you could be down 6 runs with 6 outs left, and you still really had a shot.
Sure. Brad Henderson on the Out of Bounds show, Ole Miss baseball color analyst. He joins us on the Coors Light guest line. Did you play with? I don't remember I think y'all overlapped. Did you play with Matt Duff at Ole Miss?
I did. I played 2 years with Matthew. He came in, he went to junior college for 2 years and came to Ole Miss from Mississippi Delta. And so when he came in as a junior, I came in as a freshman.
Okay.
And so Matthew and I played together for 2 years, and we've kept in touch over the years. Of course, he's doing the Major League Bow Hunter thing now with Chipper Jones. And, in fact, I had lunch with Matthew's brother here in Oxford about 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Well, see, we've had Matthew in studio a few times. All right. So Duff has joined us, and then he got his Chipper on the show, which was cool, right? I mean,
that's right. Sure.
He his friend and business partner. But some people put us in with Duff, and I think it's really cool what they're doing as far as the hunting show and the tide of Major League Baseball. I think that's pretty awesome, Brad.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. And he's always, since he's grown up, I mean, he's just loved the outdoors, loved hunting, and has created a lifestyle now doing it. And, I mean, how fun could that be? I mean, you get paid to go bow hunt with Chipper Jones. That's not a bad gig.
I'm in. I'm in.
I'm in all day. And he loves it. But he's always been that way. He didn't just meet somebody, and thought, well, man, I'm going to try and do this with Chipper because no, he's always hunted and just enjoyed the outdoors. He grew up that way with his dad and his brother. And, it's a neat story. He stays extremely busy. People think they just go on the road.
No,
get to hunt.
That's a grind, man.
No, it's a grind. He's traveling all the time to these shows and promoting his stuff and his show. And it's almost a 7-day a week job, but if you have a passion for it, then it makes it pretty easy.
He's a good dude. He's a good dude for
great
sure.
Dude. He's a great dude.
All right, so Brad Henderson on the Out of Bounds show. Brad, tell us about Wes Burton. He's unique. He's talented, but he's the guy that mutters to himself while he's on the mound. So what's it like for you to be the color analyst when Burton's playing, when he's pitching for Ole Miss?
Well, we always say the same thing when he's on the mound, and it goes something like this: Wes Burton's on the mound. We have no idea what he's saying to himself, but he's yelling at himself in his glove, and he's yelling at the hitter, and we can't figure it out. But obviously, that's a mechanism that works for Wes, and it's not for show. The very first time he ran out there as an Ole Miss pitcher was against number 1 Louisville last year, and he got the win. And it was pretty intimidating for me, even just sitting up there. Of course, we have a monitor in our booth, and I was saying, man, what in the heck is this guy doing? And but it works for him, and it's just kind of how he gets locked in. And but he's 6'5", 6'6", and coming right at you at 90 to 93, and but yeah, it's interesting. But we always say the same thing. We can't figure out what he's saying, but he's saying something. He never stops. He never stops. But he's an interesting kid. He's intense. And I think when it's all said and done, he's going to have a really good career at Ole Miss.
Sure. Brad Henderson on the Coors Light guest line. Blake, you got a question for Brad?
Yeah, Brad. So we talked about this, Bo and I have had this discussion kind of all season because states dealt with this in recent years. And I know I'm not saying this is what's happening with Doug Nikhazy, but when you have soreness or you have stress or the pitching, we talked about how 40 years ago pitchers pitched 9 innings. That's how it was done. And now kids are raised differently. So how do you manage, especially in a year where you have the biggest bullpen you've ever had, the biggest roster you've ever had in college baseball, and you have so many options? How do you manage getting a kid to play through some toughness and figure out what's going on versus, limiting obviously their long-term health and exposure? And obviously most of these kids that come to State and Ole Miss are looking to go pro in whatever position they're at. So how do you manage that when you have an Nikhazy or like states dealt with Will Bednar so far this season, when you're trying to manage what's a real issue and what's maybe like we just got to work through something that you've never had to do growing up on the travel ball?
Yeah, that's a great question. And well, you hit the nail on the head. We are as deep, I think, as we've ever been. So I think with Doug, you manage it as you're as cautious as you can be. Obviously, Coach B's job is to win baseball games, but his number one job is to make sure that these kids get an education, and if they have that opportunity, which Doug clearly will, you have to baby him a little bit. And baby's probably not the right word, but you've got to look out for the best interest of the kid health-wise. So I think they'll take it extremely – they're not going to run him back out there until they know he's 100%.
Yeah.
And Doug's not going to like that because that's not Doug's makeup. He's going to want to pitch through it. But I do think when they do run him back out there, he's back out there for the duration. I don't think they're going to go back and say, we're only going to throw you 40 pitches this game. And again, this is a chest issue. This is not an arm issue, and so it's not like they're having to do something with the arm and rebuild that strength back up. This is a chest or a muscle issue in his chest. So you've got so many arms, and obviously very few of them are as good as Doug's, but they're not going to run him out there just to run him out there, and they can't. And there's just the money that's involved with these kids when they leave college, and I think Doug will have his opportunity to make really good money at the end of this year. So I don't think we're going to see them necessarily take a chance on running him out there, not knowing if he's 100% ready to go.
That makes sense. Brad Henderson on the Out of Bounds Show. Ole Miss baseball color analyst joining us on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Brad, we appreciate it, man. We'll catch up again soon.
Hey, appreciate it, man. All the best.
Take care. Brad Henderson on the Out of Bounds Show and the Coors Light guest line. Coors Light and crawfish, that's a winning combo, and you can find it where? At Mudbugs. 2 locations in Rankin County, right there in the reservoir and deep into Brandon. Mudbugs, 2 locations, 047-042. The best crawfish in Mississippi. Great shrimp, cold beer, all sorts of other items that are, believe it or not, hidden on the menu that are really, really good. Matt and the team do a great job at Mudbugs. If you're catering a social event, church event, employees, especially after this year, and you need several hundred pounds of crawfish, call Mudbugs. They cater jobs all the time, all over. And Matt's been as far as Nashville to cater jobs. So Coors Light and crawfish, that's a winning combo at Mudbugs. Coors Light made to chill. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Blake Mania with me. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. Hope you're doing well. That was Brad Henderson talking about Tim Elko, Doug Nikhazy, Derek Diamond, Gunnar Hoagland, among others, as Ole Miss and Mississippi State continue the long marathon, Blake, of baseball season.
It is a marathon.
And we haven't even scratched the surface. We haven't even got to, I feel like we've covered both Ole Miss and Mississippi State baseball a lot, and we've yet to play a conference game. And we're still 10 days away, or 9, however you want to run the numbers, which is amazing. No other market does this. I don't even think Baton Rouge and Fayetteville quite do it. But then again, we have 2 teams. There's only 1 team there. There is a difference. And we'll see. I think Nikhazy, I agree with Brad. It's not an arm issue, which is huge.
Yes.
Flip side, what's going to happen at Mississippi State this weekend? I mean, they've got to get their front line weekend starters nailed down.
Yep.
Or you would think they would. I mean, actually, they've had 2 monster years in the last decade where it was kind of a hodgepodge patchwork, you could argue.
Yeah. 2013.
You could go to 2013 and say that.
Their best pitcher was out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
Ross Mitchell.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but still, you'd like to settle on number 1, number 2, and number 3. Actually, they would have liked for that to have been done 3 weeks ago. But so here we are. You're in March, and LSU's on the other side of this weekend. We'll see what happens in Stark Vegas this weekend. Speaking of Stark Vegas, how about some wings and some street tacos at Two Brothers Smoked Meats in the historic Cotton District before or after game day? It's all about Two Brothers and the wings and the street tacos.